Hey, welcome back to another episode on our new series, Pro Tips to Live a Dynamic Lifestyle. If you're new to this show, you definitely want to stay for this because we're dropping them every single day and we're giving you guys tips from literally experts and legit pro tips on how to live a dynamic lifestyle, especially in this pandemic and new circumstances and landscape that we're facing. So if you're interested, make sure to subscribe below. Other than that, get ready for this next one and we'll see you later. All right, guys, Layne Norton, the man, the myth, the legend. How are you doing today, my man?
Great. How are you guys?
We're doing good, man. So appreciate you just coming on this this show that we're putting together with the pro tips on how to live a dynamic lifestyle, through this pandemic, through all the craziness going on. So, I'm just really interested to see how you're doing personally, first and foremost. And then what is like some advice that you would give to someone that's struggling right now? And more importantly, how can they possibly reinvent themselves during these times?
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack there. And I think I try to stay away too much from the kind of the judgmental nature of this sort of thing. Like, everybody handles this stuff differently. To be honest, it hasn't been that difficult for me because I like to travel and I like to go out to eat and hang out with friends and all that kind of stuff. But I also, I'm not going to be bored. You know what I mean? Like, I got plenty of stuff to do. So Holly and I have kind of just used this time just to catch up on a bunch of other stuff, spend some more time with the kids, spend some more time with each other, because that's something that always tends to fall by the wayside in our lives because we're so busy. And we've used it to develop other business ideas. So, it's in a way, it's actually been really good for us. Not to minimize what's going on the outside because obviously it's very terrible, but yeah, honestly, the only thing I really miss is being able to go and be in the gym environment. I don't mind training at home, like that's fine. And I'm super grateful that I've got a home gym. But I miss that, environment of people training hard and that kind of thing. For me, that's a really helpful environment to make me feel like I'm doing my best. But hey, I'm a lot better off than a lot of people, so I'm not going to complain about it. But as far as things I miss, that'd be it. And maybe going down to a microbrewery and having a custom beer and that sort of thing. Miss those sorts of things. But, for the most part, we've been using it as advantage. I have a boat and we've been taking it out a lot more because that's one of the only things to do. There's a private ramp, so we don't have to really interact with anybody or anything like that. So there's no risk or very little risk. And yeah, so we've been getting a lot of use out of the boat, which is cool because sometimes we just, it's about a 45-minute drive or a 50-minute drive usually, although now with the roads clear, it's easier. So we've been kind of using that as an advantage to get out and be out in the water and that sort of thing. So it's been great. Now, obviously not everybody has, a home gym. Not everybody has something they can go do. And especially if you're somebody who lives in like a downtown area and you're stuck in your apartment and you can't really go out and do that much, especially in these hard hit areas like New York City, it's really easy. And, and it's starting to get warmer, but for a good chunk of this, it's been cold weather and people have been stuck inside, crummy, rainy or snowy, whatever. So where I start with people, and especially now you compound that with a lot of people have lost their jobs or at least they're furloughed. I think what I would say is I saw something from one of the farm instructors I saw named Travis Haley, and I really like what he had to say. And he said, just stop for a minute and think about, am I in danger right at this moment? Is my family in danger right at this moment? And if the answer is yes, then okay, think about what you can do to improve that situation. But if the answer is no, and for the vast majority of us, the answer is no. So if the answer is no, start from there. Start with gratefulness and being grateful that, hey, I'm still breathing. My family's healthy. We're not in any immediate danger. Try to remove yourself. I watch the news just so I can find out what's going on with the various laws and that sort of thing. But I try not to get too invested with, if you start going back and forth and everything has been politicized in this day and age. So you've got one extreme end saying one thing, this virus is no big deal. We should be opening everything back up. And you got another end saying it's, the apocalypse and I of course tend to think that the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. But try not to get sucked into all that and try to focus on what can I do one, to keep my family safe, and two, what can I do that puts me in an advantage during this time? So for some of us, we love our jobs. We love what we do. Okay. Now that you maybe have some more time because you're at home or you're not able to go out, what are some ways that you can further develop that business? Or maybe this is exposing holes that were already in your business, right? So if you were, and again, like this is really tough because, for example, if you're a casino out in Vegas, you know, you make a lot of revenue, but you have really high expenses, but your revenue is so high, you're not worried about covering that. But you go 1 month without revenue and all of a sudden you're in trouble. You know what I mean? Most businesses don't keep that kind of cash, handy, because it's just a waste of cash if they don't need it. So for a lot of people, this was something that came completely out of left field. So I think, all right, if I'm not, bankrupt or out of business, did this expose any holes in my business? So how can I develop that further so that I can be in a better position? And then for those of us who don't love our jobs, right? So maybe this thing was a blessing in disguise. Maybe you don't love your job. Maybe you hate your job. And this thing came along and you've either lost your job or you're furloughed or you're working from home. Now is the better time than ever to be thinking about that transition, right? And I think this has got a lot of people thinking about that transition.
Yeah.
So what are the things you can do right now to develop yourself that's going to put you in a better advantage? And again, I don't want to seem judgmental, but I saw a quote, and I get why people are saying that it's kind of a shaming quote, but I do tend to agree with it. The kind of quote that says, well, if you don't come out of this, time at home with a new skill, with something different, don't say you didn't have time, and then it says just you were lazy.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think
you lack
laziness,
discipline.
yeah. But I mean, at a certain point, it's like, how lined up do you need things to be to actually put that effort in for self-development?
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen now, it's probably just not going to happen.
Yeah, no, those are all great points, man. I love too, just how you just shed home on just, a little bit more abundance, grace, control what you can, don't stress what you can. I want to just kind of circle back to just you guys being parents, right? So you have kids. A lot of people I hear, it's tough being home with kids, this and that. I don't know how to adapt to that. So just for the listeners, so for the listeners, what is it that you guys do to make that work? Because I know you guys are both, big time entrepreneurs. So do you guys just kind of do like your own shifts, or how does that work?
Well, first off, just to be completely transparent, we have a nanny, which helps out a ton. So and I understand a lot of people aren't in that financial position to be able to do that. But before we had those kind of advantages, we would kind of take shifts, right? So it'd be, for those that aren't familiar, my kids are from my first marriage. And so Holly is stepmom. So usually what would happen is I'd take the kids most of the day, and then Holly would relieve me for a few hours, and I would be able to get some stuff done. And then when the kids went down for bed, I would get stuff done for the business, and she would kind of do some chores around the house and that sort of thing. But it's tough. I mean, kids are hurricanes. For those that know, they know. Like, you could have your house completely clean, spotless, and in 5 minutes they can wreck the entire thing. It's just incredible the amount of entropy and chaos they can cause in a short period of time. So again, like, it's one of those things. Like, I think a lot of people are doing their best. It's tough, like, because a lot of people are having to homeschool their kids right now. So are we. We're doing, Zooms, conferencing with the teachers, and especially my son. He is ASD, or autistic. So we have therapists that are coming into the house. I'm trying to get to those therapy appointments because it's super important for him. But it is tough. And, what I would say is that just do your best, right? Like, it's again, when it comes to that and like self-development, well, some people may not have that opportunity, right? Or the same amount of opportunity as everybody else has. Because if you're talking about somebody who's stuck at home and they don't have kids and they've got they're not working from home or anything, it's like, okay, well, if you don't get something out of this, you are lazy. But if you got 3 kids and you're a single parent and you've got a homeschool and all this, because I can tell you, with 1 kid, it's a full-time job. And it's not like 1 + 1 is 2. It's like 1 + 1 is 50. So it's it is tough. And what I would say in that situation is do the best you can when the kids are, when the kids are awake and up and doing their thing. Do the best you can as a parent. Don't feel bad if you got to give them the iPad for a little while, or you got to stick them in front of the TV or anything like that so you can get some stuff done. I mean, you're just triaging time right now.
Yeah.
You can't.
Are you a fitness professional looking to create more income, impact, influence, and independence? If so, we actually just dropped our new book, Rise of the Fit Pros, so you guys can be on your way to doing all those things, and you can sit there and build your hyper training model. So if you're interested in getting your copy, make sure to click the book or the link right here, and you guys can grab it. Other than that, make sure to enjoy the rest of the show.
You have to be able to make an income as well to support your kids. And then obviously when the kids go down, now you're triaging between, do I pick everything up or do I, work on self-development? I would say maybe, a couple days a week, work on self-development. Then you have another day where you clean up, right? Like my wife will tell you I'm kind of a messy person. Mess doesn't really bother me as much. So it's actually kind of an advantage for me because the bunch of mess I can look at and be like, nah, this doesn't stress me. I'll just go work. Right. But for her, it's very stressful. So we kind of make it where it's like, all right, we'll do a good clean, every few days, that sort of thing. But it really is. It's like you're going to clean all this stuff up and it's just going to get messed up the next day. So it's finding out what's important to you and maybe now is the time to instill some more discipline in the kids too. And we've had that kind of conversation where it's like, all right, we're home with them more now. So maybe it's time to teach better habits. And, I sat there for like literally 30 minutes getting my son and daughter to clean up all the toys they had brought out. And it was like pulling teeth, you know what I mean? But it's like, all right, you guys, if you're going to make the mess, you got to clean it up. So they eventually got the hang of it.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I appreciate just the honesty with that. It's going to help a lot of parents out. So thank you. So I want to switch gears here. Like, let's just say hypothetically, Layne, that your business got completely wiped out by this pandemic, right? And you had to start from scratch, start from zero. And I'm just giving literally hope to some of these like people that want to start a business or, this did happen to them. So what would you do kind of like to, build it back up?
So the first thing I would say is that if you've built a successful business and it gets wiped out, the skills that enabled you to build that business didn't go anywhere from the pandemic. And I would, I don't want to, obviously every industry is different, but in a lot of these industries, if your business went under from just 1 month, you might have not had the best business model to begin with, right? Or you might have not prepared as well as you could, or maybe you had too much debt. I'm very lucky. I don't want to say lucky because it was a plan from the start. My business doesn't carry debt. We do have a credit card, but we're talking, we pay that off every month. So we don't carry debt. And so we were in a good position because we don't have to worry about somebody coming in and closing down our doors, right? Like we're making less money, but we also have less expenses as well. So keep that in mind. But keep in mind that whatever enabled you to build that business, those skills didn't go away. And Dave Ramsey is a financial guy I listen to, and he cites a statistic that is actually pretty comforting for a lot of people. And that is people who have had a higher income, and that's 6 figures and above, they tend to if they lose their job, the statistics show that they tend to gravitate back towards that over time because the work ethic and the skills that enabled them to acquire that income didn't just go anywhere just because they got fired or there was a pandemic or whatever. They're still there. And you talk to different economists and they say how the economy is going to come back. Try to keep in mind, business-wise, this actually happened at the best time it possibly could. And here's why. The economy was better than it's ever been. We were at all-time high. Unemployment was an all-time low. Think if we had been in a recession and this thing hit. Then we would really be in a big problem. So there weren't I'm not going to say there aren't any structural problems with our economy. Some people will say it's an economy based on consumerism, which is a problem in and of itself. But in any case, as far as how our economy operates, it didn't seem like we were heading for a big crash or anything like that. There is a very defined reason why the economy is down right now. And once things start to open back up, once restaurants start to open back up, once these businesses start to open back up, they're going to need people to work there and people are going to start getting jobs back. and the economy is going to come back. Is it going to be a snapback? People have talked about like a V-shaped recovery. Most people think that's probably not going to happen, only from the perspective of it's probably not going to be just like we pass a date and all the restrictions are lifted. It's going to be a gradual reintroduction of normal life. Yeah. But no matter what happens, you're not dead. And unless you are, in which case you're not listening to this podcast, and it's not a problem. But if you are listening to this podcast, you aren't dead. So you've got options. So you aren't going to starve. You may lose your job, you may go bankrupt, but you still have those skills. So you'll be able to find a way to make money. Just do not use this as an excuse just to stop working. This is I always use this, analogy of Marshawn Lynch and running backs who keep their legs moving even when they hit a wall. So if you keep your legs moving, eventually this time is going to pass and you are going to break through faster than everybody else who just gave up and said, well, it's pandemic. Nobody's hiring. I can't get a job anyway. I'm just going to do, whatever. You can have that attitude and eventually this will pass and you'll probably be in a better position, but you'll be in a much better position is if you use this as an opportunity. Times like these are great equalizers. The quote, when the tide goes out, you can see who's been skinny dipping. And I agree with that. So we are looking at this as an advantage in our business as, okay, now we don't carry a ton of debt. Yes, our business is down in terms of our income right now, just because people are spending less money. But we're looking at this as an opportunity because, all right, a bunch of these other people they're in the same industry that we probably compete with. Maybe they're, sitting on their heels or they're not working as hard or they're discouraged or whatever. Well, we are going to take, I don't want to say advantage of that, but we are going to keep working hard. We are going to push forward. We're going to come up with new ways to create revenue. And it's going to put us in a better position so that once the economy does come back, we're going to be even better positioned than we would have been otherwise.
Yep. Love that, man. No, all great stuff, man. So I appreciate you sharing that. I couldn't agree more. So as we kind of come up to like the conclusion of this interview, Layne, I just want to just, again, acknowledge you, just for everything that you are doing, man, all that you've done just in the industry. I mean, we probably sound like a broken record at this point, but again, thank you so much, man, for your friendship, your mentorship for Chris and I when we were rookies getting into this, man. So
I remember that. It's probably about 12 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Time's flying, man. But, I'm really happy to see you guys are still doing well and you're still just crushing it. So yeah, thank you again. And then is there anything that we can support you on, or the listeners, or where can we follow you?
Well, we've got a really exciting announcement coming up, and our app that we've been working on, our nutrition coaching app, which is called Carbon Diet Coach for iOS and Android, is going to be launched next week.
Nice.
So for those that follow us on social media, we're going to be launching that. That's going to be basically you're going to get customized nutrition coaching through your phone for less than $10 a month. And so that's going to be a great option for a lot of people, especially during this time where money's tight. And if you still want, one-on-one coaching, we still offer that as well. So we're super excited about it. I've got other big projects coming up. I've got a coaching certification I'm working on with Professor Bill Campbell called the Physique Coaching Academy. That's probably about a year out, but that's going to be a complete game changer we are focusing on people who want to online coach. That is our demographic. So we are going to provide a platform that if you want to get certified to do this is who you come to. And we're going to provide that platform. So we're really excited about that.
Awesome, man.
Awesome, man. And two of the best in the industry. Shout out to Bill. So thanks again, Layne. Really appreciate just your honesty, your time, your experience, and we'll have all this linked up in the show notes. So until next time, guys, thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, thank you so much for watching this video and another episode on pro tips on living a dynamic lifestyle. We truly appreciate it. Hopefully you got a lot of value out of it. If you're interested in getting more value like this from these pro tips, make sure to subscribe above. We're going to be dropping these daily. Also, if you are a fitness professional and you're looking to create more income, impact, influence, and independence, we just dropped our new book, Rise of the Fit Pros, so you guys can do all of that. And you can also start building your hybrid training model in person and online training. So make sure to click the link or the book right here to grab your guys' copy, and we'll send it over to you. Other than that, we're out. Talk to you soon.